Hey Dave, how's it going?
Good morning, Joe. How are you?
I'm awesome. I'm awesome, man. So I
Good.
I hear rumors that there's a new version of the indicator called version
Yes,
4.
there is. Yes,
Yeah.
there is. I've been hard at work on a what I'll call a generational leap forward in part of this. So excited to
Wow.
show it today.
Very cool. I'm excited to hear what you've been developing, David. And I guess this is live. Outliers can use this now.
Yep, it is live. It's actually been out there for about a week now. I'll say it's still like a beta plus version. So if you see any glitches, let me know. We'll get them taken care of. But I did as much testing as I could before we could send it out to the masses. So I wanted everybody to have a good chance to take a look at it, play with it, try to break it, and let's use it, make some money.
Cool, cool. Well, I'm going to show everybody how to get this. So
Please do.
if we move over to this screen here, this is Outlier Discord, which everyone's familiar with. If I'm in the training section now, if I just hop up to FAQ and member contributions, I'll see that there is a category here called thinkorswim. If I click on that, it's going to open up this content on the right. And look right here, we have the revision 4 of the super indicator.
Yep. Yep.
Awesome. Now,
And real
go ahead.
quick on that, make sure, and I deleted the old one, but make sure the one that you download says revision 4-20. Okay, that actually it's version 4 anyways, but it actually was updated on 420. I did find a little bug in there. So I went in, I've already fixed that, but that is the most up-to-date version. That's what we'll be looking at today. And as I have more revisions, I will remove the old scripts and put the new scripts up there. So just keep an eye out on the revision date.
Awesome, awesome. Well, before we go into the indicator, I'm going to make sure that folks know how to get some training on this. And so if you go to Outlier Training with Joe, go into playlist, you're going to find a brand new playlist that we just created today called Outlier thinkorswim. If we hop into there, we're going to see all the videos that Dave and I have put together, and you'll be able to see the evolution of the indicator. If you start with session 1 all the way up to the most recent recording, which was session 5, and we're now sitting in session 6. So Outlier Training with Joe will get you there, and we're going to go ahead and push this recording to the same playlist once we have it recorded.
Awesome. Awesome.
So Dave, I'm going to remove my screen share, and I'm going to let you share your screen to show us all about the super indicator. This is cool. I haven't even seen this yet, so this is going to be a surprise.
This is a first for you too. That's right. I forgot.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
as it comes up here is the new super indicator. And this has got a lot of features built into it. And this is just my paper trading account, but it obviously works great in the regular accounts. But there's a lot of features built into this that I want to kind of walk through. So first and foremost, we have our EMAs on here. Okay, so we have our 20, we have our 50. We're going to go into settings real quick because it looks like the 10 is turned off. Oh yeah, that's right. I did turn this off. So we're going to come all the way down here. We're going to turn the 10 back on. There we go. That's what happens when you do things live, and I was testing yesterday. So we have our and these are set by default, but you can change the colors to whatever works. And I want to put out to everybody here, this is designed to be customizable to your rules. Okay, out of the box, it's going to mirror a lot of what Outlier, espouses as far as a 10, 20, 50, a lot of the different things, but the aesthetics inside of this are my preference. You can change it to you, and that's the beauty of this. This is highly customizable. So we start off just walking through. We have our familiar 10, 20, 50 EMAs. We have the value zone. That's what this gray is here. So we can take a look and see, is it in the value zone? So you can use this for plan ETF. If value zone is part of your trading for equities, the value zone is already built in here. And then, of course, we have our support order blocks, green, and then we have our resistance order blocks in red. But the cool thing is, and this is something completely new in this version, is that we're able to go through and create buckets. So the system is calculating the depth of the order block. Not just that it's got an order block, but it's calculating the depth. How many shares remain? So like right down here in support order block 1, we have 854 million shares right down here for support. So you can see the depth. You can see what's actually in the active order blocks. So let's find one. Let's go to Meta here because that'll give us some overhead as well. And you can see because of their earnings yesterday, they're not doing too great. But we actually had a little order block created right here today based on everything that was happening over the last couple of days. So this order block here, the resistance is 108 million shares. So this is something that I'm not aware of any other order block indicators out there that are calculating the depth of an order block. And that's something that was really important to me to try to get into this. And we'll talk about some of the settings in a minute here, but you have the depth of the order block, but then you also have the distance. So this resistance order block is 10.5% away from you right now. But we can also change that. So we can put it in dollars. We can put it in ATR values. So we can say, how many ATRs away is it? Am I going to be hitting this thing under normal expectations? So it's a really good way to look at this stuff.
That is really cool, Dave. The fact that you can calculate how far you are, and then on top of that, suspect if you're going to hit it in a normal day's volatility. That's cool.
Exactly. So it gives you more information. It gives you another way to look at things. And that's what's really important to me when I'm building scripts and when I'm working with stuff. It's got to be easy to understand. The data has to be clean and it has to be actionable. 10% away, man, if we were looking at a swing up right now, this is a trade I'd probably be taking if it was swinging up. Obviously, it's going the other way. This isn't anything I would touch at all right now. And, the current price, when we look around my camera here, it's only down $64 from yesterday. It's a pretty ugly movement, but, it is what it is. So let's start walking through, unless you have any questions on this, Joe, let's start walking through some of the settings and some of the customizations.
Well, we do have a question that we could try to answer real quickly. This person's mentioning invalid characters.
Yes. Oh, this is another glitch in thinkorswim, and I love it. I can call the studies whatever I want when we save it. You can call it whatever you want. You can use some of the special characters. But when you import it and you save it initially, you can't have the mid-level dash. You have to shift the dash to the bottom. It's got to be an underscore dash. That's exactly what it's picking up on. And you're probably right. I probably put in the 4-20 instead of the 4_20 when we did that. Just make that little change and that'll take care of it. I see another comment in here. Unfortunately, we can't do the 4/20. And maybe we could go ahead and change it in the future. On the next version, I'll update it and we'll just put APR or May, whatever it happens to be. And, the year, we'll just put, May 26, something like that for the next iteration, just to help out with that. But yes, that is a little minor glitch.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave.
And I see Alex's comment. We're going to get into the settings and everything here in a minute on the order blocks because there's a lot of stuff to look at.
All right.
So
well, let's get into it.
Let's do it. So you're going to come over here, edit studies. This is always easier than hitting this button. Personally, just hit the little flask. It's going to drop you right into here. And now you have your settings. Now, because I designed this, I have to put a disclaimer in it. That's just the society we live in. You'll see we've got the little blue label hiding off to the side over here that says user accepts responsibility. Turn that label off and that disappears. So that's the first thing you should do. And each time you make changes that you want to keep, be sure to save it as a default. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But when you make all your changes, save it as a default. Then it's set for you. You can go back on it later on. It's going to be the same thing you last worked on, not just the last one in this flexible grid. Now, I forgot completely because it wasn't showing on that. We have an earnings label now, and it's going to pop up red when you have earnings within a set amount of time. So in this case, I have it set to 7 days. You could put, 17, you could put 10, whatever number works for your style of trading. Earnings is now built in as an alert in thinkorswim. So you can put it in at whatever you want. So you get that red flag right at the beginning to say, hey, whoa, we got earnings coming up. I need to think about that. Account size, enter your account size. We just use the generic 100,000 here, but enter in your account size and enter in your risk percentage. I happen to be using 2.5% just as my example. I'm actually trading a little bit under that right now just because of the market volatility, but enter in what you want to do, long or short. This is going to be the switch to flip when the market regime completely changes. And this actually changes the calculations in all of the ATR values. So you don't have to worry and say, oh, gee, I'm trading short now. I need to put minus now. No, just come up here, click one switch, all your ATRs switch as if you're taking a short trade. All the values stay, they get adjusted basically for that. You're good to go. So we really, I tried to create this pretty simply. Your option delta, pretty self-explanatory. And now under order blocks, you can show whether you want the order blocks or not. So if you don't want that noise, turn it off. Go through, you turn it off. Guess what? They disappear. So you can have a cleaner chart if you don't want that, or you want to do it in stages. You can have different things showing here. Now, I'm going to say for everybody, don't change these settings. I've gone through, they are adjustable. I left them adjustable just in case somebody wants to play with it, but I have found 28-day look back looks to be about the best overall. And when we get into our order blocks, we have some choices here, okay? Blended takes institutional and structural. Structural is retail, okay? It's another way to look at it. Taking a blended approach gives you a very different response than if we just had institutional. So here is institutional on Meta, okay? You'll notice it's not picking up a lot of these smaller order blocks that we know are out there. It's carrying this one forward, which is good. We want that, but it's not carrying the smaller ones forward. So if we come back in here now and we change it to structural, look at what just happened. Now we added a whole bunch of others in here. So it's something that a blended approach gives you kind of the best way to look at it. Whoops. It gives you a happy medium. And it's picking up what we need it to pick up here. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. It's picking up the institutional. It's picking up the retail. It's adding in more granular detail in that. Now, we also have a setting here for how do we want it calculated. Okay, the order block zone source. Do you want to calculate it on the body or the wick? I want the body. The body is where the majority of the shares were traded in any given day. The body of the candle is where your institutional, your big money is really sitting. So going in and drilling into, having the order blocks based on the body gives you a better overall response on the order blocks. You're not getting the noise from the wicks because that wick, remember, that could have been just a momentary drop down, say in the SPY, where Trump sent a tweet out and it just dropped down suddenly. It came back up 5 minutes later. There wasn't a lot of volume traded there. Is that relevant to order blocks? Probably not. But the body of the candle where the majority of everything was traded definitely is. Now, this is where we talked about how do we want to display it? So do we want to display it in a percentage for the order blocks? Or do we want to say percentage, or do we want to say shares or percentage for the order block for the depth? So if I forget which one we had it on. Let's click that. We're going to go over to the shares now. So on the shares on Meta right now, order block one that just got created has 109 million shares in it. Okay. That's hefty. And this is going to label every single active order block that we have. So it's going to label order block, resistance order block 1, 2, and 3, and then support 1, 2, and 3. We can only get 3 slots working in this because it has to calculate the buckets. If we get any deeper than that, it starts dragging the script down. So I had to find a fine line in the sand of what makes the most sense when we talk about these. So that's one way to take a look at it. The next thing on settings again is the distance. So we can click dollars for the distance, the ATR value. So let's click the ATR value. So now we know that this order block up here is almost 3 ATR away from the current price. So if I was looking at this on a normal day, I'd sit back and say, we got room to run. If this thing was running up, great.
Yeah, if somebody was going to roll based on ATRs, there's like 3 opportunities, maybe even 4 if you're going to do a half ATR as well. So you could let that thing run and pull some risk off the table if it does run.
Absolutely. So it gives you another really good way to look at it. Let's go look at Googs here. Okay, so Googs, we got a great support order block beneath it. The support order block is minus 3.25 ATR from the price right now. So, you know, Googs had a great day. The order block support is 3 ATRs away. Well, that makes sense because of how far we literally jumped up on the earnings last night. It hasn't had time to catch up. There's nothing here. We basically have clear air. So this is one to watch and see if it's a gap and go or a gap and crap. You know, only time will tell. But we know how far away that support is. And then if we come back in, you know, we can look, that support is 123 million shares. So there's at least some decent support volume in here. Now, order blocks flip. Now that the price has jumped way up here, this support order block is great. If the price were to come back down, it may flip and become resistance. You know, so that's something to just think about. But we'll wait and see. We zoom out, order block 2, which is now in frame. You see that one just popped up. Order block 2 is 180 million shares. Long ways away. That's actually outside the scope of the ATRs. It won't show where we're at with that because of the distance. It's just too far. So we've got that capability to look at. You can look at the order block, the depth, the distances. You can display it in whatever makes sense to you to use for your style of trading. We can change it to dollars, you know, whatever makes sense here. The order block volume look back and the ATR length, keep these set at 14. Those are the standard ones that we want. So we want to keep that. Now, if you don't like the order block labels, turn them off. Just that simple. The order blocks can get turned off. The bubbles, if you don't like the bubbles on here, the bubbles can get turned off. The value zone, as we talked about, you know, as we see over here, we've got a little value zone on the climb up here. If you don't want the value zone to show, again, on, off. How many ATRs do you want your value zone to be? I've got this preset to 3, so I know where we are in that range. But again, customizable. The EMAs, you can turn them on and off very simply. So, you know, with a click of a button, the EMAs are gone if I don't want those. You know, so it gives you the ability to fine tune and truly clean everything up. Now, I've been playing with some different ones. This has been my back test for the week because I'm curious. I've been running the prime EMAs only because they trigger just a little bit ahead of 10, 20, 50. I've been playing to see if there's any activity that's triggering in the primes when you get a prime crossover. So you can go through and change this to whatever EMA works for your style. You know, we wanted to make this very user-friendly all the way around and, you know, have it be something that is truly yours that makes sense. Whoops, we want the 50 here. Now, We save that. The next set of instructions, do you want to trade shares? Yes or no? Show the number of shares label. So this is calculating based on my risk percentage, based on my account size, how many shares I should buy. If you don't want to trade shares, turn it off. You can change the color of every one of these labels so you can customize it. And you'll see in a second why I do that. Contracts. If you don't trade options, you can turn the contracts off. You can get rid of that one. And again, you can change the color. But now we get into our ATR labels down here. So going through and doing this, I have ATR label 1. This is my first, if you go under these rules, this is the first roll at 0.5 ATR, and that one's white. And then I have a 1 ATR for potentially the next roll or just to watch it. Again, whatever label I want, whatever ATR value, and whatever color I want. So when I go through and I set my chart up and I go through and I draw, and let's just say we're going to buy something here, I'm going to click a label, and you notice I'm not putting it where I necessarily want it. I'm just putting it on the screen. So right now, if we bought this, let's just say 373.0. Okay, we're going to call this purchase. Done. I'm going to draw another line. And again, look, come on. Got to get my mouse to work. I'm just drawing lines. Now I want this for my half ATR, or let's just say roll. I can label it however I want. First ATR roll is 376.75. I want this in white. I like color-coded charts. I can go back on them and I can see at a quick glance 2 ATR, 388.78. And I do this because I color-coded my ATR values. So I can go through quickly and say, yep, that's a 2 ATR. I know this one is going to be a red one because it's going to be on the -2. We'll just call this exit, and 357.20. And just that fast, I've been able to go through and mark up my chart for trading based on the values that are automatically calculating up on top here. And I can color code them. If I want to put the 1 ATR in, we have 1 ATR. I have a 1 ATR value of 381. I'll just call it 381.0. Whoops. That's going to be that color. And now I have everything I need. So when I go into this chart, and let's show this for a moment. Let's go into a 5-minute chart. There's everything I need on the 5-minute chart to monitor my trade for the day. Color-coded. Wow. Color-coded for me. Now, it didn't pick up purchase only because purchase, the way I drew the line, is probably just off the screen here. It's probably set for 12 or 1 o'clock where I drew the line. I wasn't being real careful because you can see where my exit drew and where my other 2 lines drew. I just threw them on quickly. Mm-hmm. But it gives you a quick visual reference. Now, so you don't make a mistake, because everything is calculated on ATRs and EMAs, assuming a daily chart. You'll notice script is disabled. Use the daily chart. So if you're not on the daily chart, there is a warning that pops up so you don't use the wrong information. And that to me is super critical. So click back into the daytime, and here we are again. We got everything that we need in here. So this works.
That's a good feature. That's a good feature, Dave, because if you switch over to a 5-minute chart and you start making decisions, but your plan is based on a daily candle, you're not following your plan. You're getting false information.
It's going to calculate you wrong. Mm-hmm. It's going to calculate on an ATR value that is nothing compared to the daily candle. Mm-hmm. When we look at that, it's going to be a very dramatic difference in the calculations if you're on the wrong screen. So that's why I set that up to disable the script instantly if you're not on the daily chart. It's a protection for everybody. Now let's go look at Apple real quick. Apple we now have a red earnings. Apple has earnings today and after the market closed. So let's see what they come in at later. But, estimated $1.91 per share as far as revenue. So, we'll see what happens there. But here's your earnings flag. If anybody knows of any other ones, we can grab something else. I just grabbed Apple real quick. I don't know what other tickers are reporting this week, but it will give you that countdown. And as long as it is within the range you set, 7 days, 10 days, whatever works for you, it's going to go through and display the number of days remaining. It will always be red because this is intended to be a red flag. There we go. So there's SKM. Thank you, whoever put that in the chat, Brian. Thank you. SKM has earnings in 7 days. And as we look at this, SKM, of course, just hit clear air just a few days ago. And this is a 2-year chart that I'm running. So this is the high in the last 2 years. We have a support order block underneath us. That's $7.33 underneath us. So roughly, 15 or so % away. There's about 9 million shares remaining in order block 1, about 13 million in order block 2, and they're stacked on top of each other. So there's definitely some support way down here. Not that you want to ride it down from 36 to 29, but there is some support there. But as you can see, it calculated the number of shares based on the account, the number of contracts, gave us all of the other information that we need, and just works. What other
Wow,
questions?
Dave. So I saw you give a lot of different settings for the order blocks, and we get questions about that. Like, I don't see the same order blocks in TradingView that I see in Ovtlyr, that I see thinkorswim. So how would you approach that? Is it a factor that somebody needs to pick and make a decision and do some back testing, or how do you approach that?
I'll always go do some back testing. Always. Right now, every system calculates this data a little bit differently. So TradingView is different than, it's going to be different than thinkorswim. They should be similar in nature, but they're never going to be identical. What is order blocks are calculating? We saw that other question in here. When the order blocks are created, it basically goes through, and you can see this order block was created right here on this candle. It's calculating the number of shares in that order block based on the volume of the day and how much absorption happened in that move up. So even though an order block was created here, we still had more movement in here. We had that overlapping occur. There's still buyers probably trapped down here as support. This is going to be a key level. And this is what's still remaining. It basically jumped through this pretty darn quick. So it tries to go through and calculate not just passage through the order block, but actual absorption and volume through that order block. And that's something that, again, is very unique. It is looking at that volume, and you will see it when it's eating the order blocks. You will see that volume tick down as the volume being purchased or sold in that range is being absorbed. So it is trying to take a more intelligent approach to basically those buckets versus it just passed through. You can have a candle pass through in the overnight with no volume. Does 100 shares because it blew through it in the overnight mean that that order block is gone? No. It means it's still there. It just didn't trigger because of the conditions of which it went through.
Okay. Gotcha. That's interesting.
What other questions do we
this came to us when we were looking at Google, and the question was, would the current candle make a new order block?
No. The current candle will not. An order block takes a day or two, depending upon the conditions, to actually create. Now, we had the one on Meta. And Meta's was created. We have this little itty bitty order block in here. Let's see how much I can really zoom in. you can see which candle it got created on, the body right here. So it's showing up here the very next day. These are populating a little faster than TradingView and some of the others, but I'm still seeing that this is unusual in that it calculated it the very next day. I'm usually seeing it on day 2 or 3 after the event is when it's getting calculated out. So it's not calculating one on every single candle. It is looking at multiple factors on what caused that. There was a lot of volume in here, and then boom, it just dropped, or in here rather, and then it just dropped. And it dropped in the overnight. Everybody who bought here yesterday is stuck completely. Everybody who thought through earnings it would go up, they chose poorly.
Yeah. Never.
Why we don't trade earnings ever.
Yeah. Trade into it, but not through it, maybe.
Exactly.
Let's see. We have a volume multiplier question.
No is the answer. It is not the same. The volume multiplier for absorption, let me see where I've got that. Risk percent. You know what? You're looking at an older version. That whatever he's looking at is an older version, because I did build in an absorption model into this, that it had to be more than the actual volume of the candles. That is different than the the value zone ATR multiplier. And by the way, the labels, we run out of ability to actually, because of the way thinkorswim works, like EM space A1, it's EMA1, but it can't recognize this, because if I type EMA into a label, even though it's just text only, it defaults and it thinks that's actually not just text, it thinks it's part of the script. It thinks it's a character to calculate. So you actually have to go through and change certain things like that. It doesn't like, VZ is just the value zone ATR multiplier. But no, I actually did back out the absorption. It is back in the hard code. If you're seeing that, you may be on an older version right now.
Okay, gotcha.
It was in the first version. Okay, perfect. I took that out just to keep everything as simple as possible. There are a lot of hard-coded settings in here that I didn't want people messing with, because it does impact the performance overall of this.
Okay, awesome. We do have a question about where will the recording be. So let me pop over and show that to folks. So all of the recordings will end up in Outlier Training with Joe. And if you click on playlists, we're talking about thinkorswim. So this video will end up in the Outlier thinkorswim playlist. So if you pop over there at the moment, you're going to see sessions 1 through 5. And then once this recording is posted, you'll see session 6. So that's where you'll go, Outlier Training with Joe. And you know what? While we're there, there's another way. If you use this search box here and you type in thinkorswim, you're going to find that there's videos all listed here, plus other times we've talked about thinkorswim. Like in this case, maybe we were rolling options. Is that you, Dave? That might be you. Yeah, that's Dave.
Yep.
Another video where
rolling of options, and we can talk about that today if anybody has any questions, anything. We got some time today, so.
So all of these videos, we mentioned thinkorswim. Or if you want to get into rolling, you could search for rolling in all these videos. You would find content that deal with rolling. So it's like ninja hack number 2, right? Rolling is the big ninja hack. This is how you find the information you're interested in learning more about, is through this search box right here. So awesome. Well, Dave, I'm impressed with how much effort you put into this, and the fact that this is free for all outliers is just such a huge benefit. I agree with the Duke here. The indicator is definitely worth the price of admission.
I think so. This is a labor of love. Deep Thought and I, months and months ago, we started talking about this back and forth, and we said, we could make this better for TradingView people or thinkorswim. We both have our areas of expertise, and man, we started brainstorming back then, and really created some amazing indicators, and they have both evolved over time.
Yeah.
Now, I will say on that FAQ thinkorswim scripts where we have everything, I do have the order blocks in there as a standalone. So if you don't want the full super indicator showing on everything, you can go in. The order blocks are there as a standalone script as well. I use order blocks on a lot of different things, and the order blocks work great on any time frame, really 15 minutes and up. When you get into the lower time frames, it's just not meaningful. Is a few thousand shares in an order block created 10 minutes ago meaningful at the on the SPY? No, it's not.
Yeah.
But if you start looking at a 15, 30, or a 1 hour on the daily chart, or on those charts, if you're day trading, it does work there, and it definitely gets you some good information.
Yeah. Well, awesome, Dave. Thanks for all the outliers who made it here today, and all your great questions. It's great that this is already live. Here you're just announcing it to us, but we don't have to wait. We can just go get it right now through FAQ.
Go get it right now. And best of all, it's free.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We have such a great community with Ovtlyr. I feel so blessed to have folks like you and Deep Thought and all of our amazing outliers here, all for 82 cents a day. It's insane, right?
I know. It really is an incredible deal. And I've made thousands of times over my initial investment.
Yeah,
you just can't beat it. I just want the market. We just need a few things to swing around and go get another Plan M run on everything, and go from there.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, Dave, we're gonna go ahead and cut it. I don't see any more questions, so we will catch you in a couple of weeks, probably. I guess, Dave.
Yeah, let's do another one. And as always, everybody, send me some notes. Anything you're interested in thinkorswim, let me know. Joe and I are happy to do another presentation on that. Try to put something together for you. Just let us know what works, what you need, what works, what anybody wants explanation-wise. I live in thinkorswim 8 hours a day, so
I don't know how you're going to improve this, man, but we'll find out in 2 weeks.
My mind just goes. I just come up with ideas, randomly riding my motorcycle or, feeding the dog. Who knows? But
that's right. All right, Dave, we'll see you later.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.